In this tutorial we're going to be using the setup, the geometry node setup we had in the last video I just uploaded. So if you haven't seen that video, I recommend you to go and see it. If you don't need to watch the whole tutorial, I'm gonna show you right now like how does the geometry nodes tree looks like. In case you can like do it by your own real quick instead of going and watch the other tutorial. But in case you don't, I'm going to leave it up here so that you can click it, because we're going to be using this same setup and modifying it to create this new animation. That's not going to take that much time because we're going just to be doing little changes into this setup, but we're actually going to get a really different result. So without anything else to say, let's just begin with this tutorial. So as I just said, this is the setup with which we ended the last tutorial, and now the first thing we have to do is to unlock the camera right here, because we don't want to change the position of the camera right now. And then just right here in the transform nodes we have, we're going to set this Z translation to 0 again, so that they're again in the middle of the world. And now we're going to take one of them and we're going to scale it up. And now we're going to click into this little camera right here to go into the camera view, and we're going to move it a little bit so that we can see it from a different perspective. I like it something around here. And now if we press play, we will still have the animation that we made in the past tutorial. But if we press render, as you can see, the animation gets kind of lost because we have a lot of lines right here, a lot of noise going on, like lines going everywhere, and we cannot understand what's happening right there. So what we have to do to fix that is to add another cubes instance in the same place as these, the ones we have inside, so that they kind of block what's going behind them. So to do that, we have to see which tree is the one of the sphere in the middle, and right now we know that it's this one. As you can see, if I change anything in this one, it's going to affect the ones in the middle. Let me just deselect this real quick. And we also have to change a little bit the setup of the big sphere, because right now we're having like very few cubes in the part of the back, and we want it to be like give the feeling that the cubes in the inside and the outside of the sphere are the same size. And if we change anything in the outside sphere, it's going to affect also the one in the middle, and we don't want that because we're going to get a lot of saturation right here in the middle. So the first thing we have to do, we're going to select these three nodes and we're gonna make a copy of them by pressing Shift V, and we're gonna move it a little bit upwards. And now we're going to connect. We're going to take these instance on points and we're gonna put it up here as well. We're going to take these same cubes right here and we're going to plug this mesh output into the points. Into the instance. And now we're going to plug this geometry into the points and the instances into the geometry of the big cube, and the attribute into the rotation. And now we're getting like basically the same thing as we had before, but now we can modify the number of segments and the number of rings without affecting the one in the middle. That's exactly what we wanted. So now we can scale these instances by its own. So I'm going to put them right now into something like 0.02. We can press render image and see how they're looking like compared to the one in the middles. And I think right now they're looking like the correct size, like taking in mind that they're further away from the camera and they're going to look a little bit smaller anyway. So now we have a lot of space between them, so we're going to change this segment's number and this ring number. That's it. I'm going to put like 70 and 45. And now if we render image, we can see that we have different rows of cubes going in the background. Maybe I'm going to bring this segment's number a little bit higher, and now render image. No, I think I just messed up. I'm going to leave it in 70. Now we're going to take this this one in the bottom. What we have to do with this one is that we need to create a copy of these cubes in the middle, and maybe we can scale them just a little bit down so that they don't go one over the other. 0.06 is going to be perfect. And now we're going to take this transform node and we're going to duplicate it and put it right below itself. And then we're going to go into this instance on points and take the same data and plug it into the geometry. And then right here in the output we have right here, we're going to press Shift A and search for a join geometry again, and we're gonna plug it right at the end. And we're gonna plug this transform we just created into this join geometry right here. And we don't plug it into the before in this join geometry, because that will give the same material to the cubes in the middle, and we don't really want that. And now we have to make a little difference right here. We're going to plug the same combine XYZ rotation into the rotation of these new ones we just created to put them exactly in the same place. But now we have to duplicate this instance on points and move it down here. And why is that? Because right now we're getting like only the wires of the cubes, and we need the complete cubes to come right here. So we're going to use the group input into the instance, then this capture attribute geometry into the points, and the instances into the geometry. And now, as you can see, we're getting this cube setup right here that right now is not like in the correct position, and that's because we need to plug the attribute into the rotation as well. And now, as you can see, they're exactly in the same place as the ones we had at the beginning. Let me just fix a little bit the arrangement of this, because we're getting like kind of messy right now. That's it, now we can see better what's going on with these nodes. And now we're going to go into the material properties, and we're going to add a new material that we're going to call, I don't know, black maybe. And we're just going to set the base color to completely black, and then change the roughness of the material to 1. And now we come back to the geometry nodes, and we're going to move we're going to select this set material, and we're going to duplicate it and put it down here. But if we turn on the render, you can see that we're getting the light material also in the cubes in the middle. So we're going to change this by selecting this one and setting it to black. That's it. And now if we render an image, as you can see, these cubes in the middle are getting like kind of filled up, and now we cannot see through them. And that helps us to see what's happening in the front of the composition and what's happening in the back. Now the only thing I would like to change is that maybe we're not getting enough cubes in this part right here, and we're like kind of losing the shape of the sphere. So to fix that, we just have to go back to the geometry nodes tree and search for the UV sphere that is controlling the ones in the inside. And we're going to change this value of scale to something smaller, like maybe let's say 0.2, no, 0.4 is fine. And then change it to 0.04 as well. And now we just have to change the number of segments and rings in this sphere in order to make it look like a group of cubes again. And that's it. Now if we render an image, we can see that we can clearly see what's going on in our scene. And now that we have our composition made, maybe we can change a little bit the camera to somewhere you like it a little bit more, something around here maybe. And if we press play, we can go back into the layout and maybe turn on the material preview. And if we press play, you can see the animation we're getting right now. Again, we're going to render in Eevee, so we're not going to have a lot of problem right here. You can change the bloom as well, as we did in the past tutorial. And if you want to know where to save it, just go right here to the output properties, select a place to save this thing, and just render the whole animation. Since we're rendering in Eevee right now, we're not going to need to change the number of frames we're rendering. But it's always good to know that we're making like kind of a repetitive thing, so we're not going to need all of the frames we're going to do right now. And as easy as that, we're going to get this new composition based on the geometry node setup we made in the past tutorial. I think this tutorial is going to be really short, but it's just one new thing I wanted to show you with the same setup we did in the past video, so that you don't get with only one composition and like get an idea of how we can change this geometry node setup and with little changes create completely new and different compositions. So once we finished render, this is what we're gonna get. And for now we have 2 different compositions, and maybe I will bring a third one like really soon. So if you don't want to miss those, please subscribe to my channel, you will help me a lot if you do it. Leave a like, maybe a comment, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial.